Hi, I'm Chad, and you're watching Squarebody Stuff. Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today, we're not going to be working on Squeaky. We're going to be working on his 454. If you watched the last video, we took Squeaky up to the hub dyno there at Horsepower Proving Grounds. Made some personal best numbers with this little 339. Now, we're going to set him aside for a little bit and start working on this 454 for old Creampuff. And if you're not familiar with Creampuff, he's my 79 C10 short bed, just my daily driver. He's over there by the house. Got a 350 in him right now, just cam intake headers, your basic stuff. Not a powerhouse. Sounds good, runs okay, but I need a big block in him. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to be building on this. I know I've already got series of engine building tips and tricks and stuff when we built the 339, but I'm gonna go through it all again, and maybe better this time on building this big block. Now, if you haven't watched the videos of Squeaky and a dyno, or not familiar with Creampuff, make sure you subscribe, catch up on the videos. Yeah, I've got a few interesting things I've done with old Creampuff. Obviously Squeaky's kind of the star of our show, and but make sure you subscribe, ring that notification bell, share this with your friends and family and everybody. It's the Christmas spirit. It's the gift of giving. Share it with them. Hopefully they'll subscribe too. At this moment, I think I'm 85 away from 25,000, and I can't thank you guys enough. So that's pretty awesome. I think we're going to hit 25,000 by the end of this year, and that'll be awesome. So thanks again, everybody, for subscribing and supporting what we do here at this channel. It ain't much, but it's honest work. Now, what we're going to be doing with this big block right now in this video, it's going to be kind of a short and sweet, simple video. We're going to be installing some freeze plugs. Now, I've already got the freeze plugs on one side done. Of course, core plugs, freeze plugs, whatever you want to call them. This one I can't get to until I have to pull the block off the stand. We'll do it last. But I'm going to go ahead and install these three, and yeah, I'll show you how I do it. Now, this is just a Summit Racing brand kit that comes with all your expansion plugs, freeze plugs, core plugs, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call them freeze plugs. It's what I've called them all my life. Deal with it if you don't like it. I really don't care. But it also comes with your plug for the cam, the back of the block for the camshaft journal. You got that. It's also has the galley plugs for your oil galleys. But right now, I'm gonna show you how I install these things. Now, you can always just use a socket. Just find something that fits in there. It's good and solid. You can drive it in. You don't want to drive it in too far. I'll show you that here in just a minute. But I've got some Delrin, whatever it's called, that I've turned down to make a nice fancy-ish little tool. It doesn't leave any marks on these, and I don't know if these are actual brass or if they're just anodized or zinc coated or what they are. But if you have like a zinc coated or metal one, if you use a socket, it could create a rust ring and scratch it up and possibly eventually eat away through your plug. And also use some form of RTV around the edge of it just to help seal it up, because these surfaces aren't perfect. It doesn't really matter what kind you use. I'm using the high temp red because that's the tube that I have open right now. I don't want to open up another tube of stuff that's some ultra gray is what I use a lot of. But any RTV will work real good on this. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to use the high temp. And a little trick, I've showed you this before, but whenever you cut your tip off of your RTV, stick it back in there. Now, eventually it will get solid, but it keeps it from getting solid as fast. So this tube's been sitting around for probably a couple months, and it's starting to get a little stiff in there, but it'll still come out. So that's a little trick just to keep your RTV from getting too solid. First thing I'm gonna do is just take some brake parts cleaner. Make sure these are good and dry and clean. because this block has been soaked with WD-40. I try to keep it soaked down because I have to keep it covered up, get to it when I can, so I don't turn it into a big rust ball. I keep it hosed down with WD-40. I buy it by the gallon and put it in a squirt bottle. We'll get these all cleaned up and then start installing our freeze plugs, core plugs, expansion plugs, happy little plugs, whatever kind of plugs you want to call them. I'll put just a little bit of RTV on my plug. Don't need a bunch. And if you put it on your plug and not in your block, put it on your plug, that way any excess gets scraped off to the outside. If you put it on your block, drive the plug in, the excess is getting shoved into your coolant passages. Probably not going to hurt a whole lot of anything, but you don't want a bunch of extra RTV floating around your cooling system. It can plug up your heater core or your radiator. You don't want that. I'm set it in there and start drying them in. Now you don't want to go too deep, just down past the line. I mean, you don't have to get too particular with it. Clean this up, then we'll drive the other ones in. Now you can see about how far in I've drove it. You don't have to be too particular with it. Just kind of up to your own personal preference on that. There's that one and there's that one. Not a whole lot to it. Not rocket science. You could drive them in with the socket. You could actually even just drive them in. If you have a good soft mallet, you could drive them in without anything, but it works better if you have something to go down inside of it. All right, so my next step is I'm going to pull this thing off the stand, set it on my workbench here, and put that freeze plug on the back, and then we're going to start working on cam bearings. Now I'm going to do a whole nother video on the cam bearings. This is it for this video. Hopefully you've learned something about installing your freeze plugs, expansion plugs, core plugs, whatever kind of plugs you want to call them. Now obviously you can have the machine shop put the freeze plugs or plugs in for you when they're done doing what they're doing to it, the machine work and stuff. Usually that's just kind of part of the package. You can have them put the plugs in and the cam bearings and all that stuff. That way it's one step less that you have to do, but it's also, if you do it yourself, like me, I just like doing it myself. I don't know, it's just, I like doing it. And it's also, on the other hand, it's one less thing they have to do for you. They can get stuff turned around a little bit quicker that way. So, yeah, you can have them do it, be just fine, but if you want to do it yourself, this is how we do it. And again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That way you can see the progress we're making on this engine and progress we make on every project we got here in the Squarebody Stuff shop. So until next time, y'all keep your square bodies rolling, and we'll catch you later.